Paul McGuire Rhymes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Julianne, this is such an honor talking to you today. I've been a long time admirer of your work, so this is remarkable. So thank you so much for the time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. So nice to talk to you.
Yeah, now Stephen King is my favorite author of all time, and this is, I think, your second adaptation of his work on the Perry remake. What is it about his writing that keeps you bringing both as a star and now as an executive producer?
You know, I think he's remarkable. I always say about horror and the supernatural is it's really about what our emotions are, what our feelings are, sort of manifest, right? So I think that's our attraction to him is an emotional one. We're always like, oh, all our thoughts and fears he's kind of embodied in his work. And yet places it in this kind of incredible naturalism. So you do believe like you can see yourself in those stories. And this in particular for me was compelling because it's a story of a relationship, of a very long marriage. And I think it's unusual to see that explored in entertainment. You know, generally we have like romantic comedies where people meet and fall in love and get married and that's the end. But for any of us who've been in a relationship, you know that the real story is that life that you share together.
Oh my God. Was he on set at all? And did you learn anything extra talking to him?
He was on set all the time, and he's just an incredibly generous individual. He really is, a team player. He basically would be happy and applaud like everything we did. He was excited to be there. I think he likes the process of creating something. He's interested in people collaborating. I think what's amazing about him and what I really learned is his capacity for everything, his interest in the world and in the creative process and how much he's able to produce. I mean, the guy never stops. He absolutely never stops.
I own every one of his books, so I totally get it. Now, you have literally done every genre of film and TV, from blockbuster franchises to like little indie films. Mm-hmm. What is it like doing an 8-episode limited series, and how does it challenge you differently than some of the other projects that you've done?
This was an interesting process. It was very, very important to me that we have one director, with all of the episodes, because I wanted to think of the piece as a whole. And we were so fortunate to have Pablo Larraín, who's just an extraordinary talent and a wonderful person, and brought an incredible creative vision to it. So in a sense, for me, it was like doing one enormous movie. But what was challenging about it is there are actually 4 timelines in the piece. And Pablo was the one who was really responsible for toggling in between them and kind of reminding us of where we were. And they're not always even direct timelines. They are remembered timelines. So he was always helping us understand what the point of view was, where we were in the story, how we were recalling it, and he would kind of help remind us all. It was very helpful.
The show is just gorgeous to look at, with the rule and the mood. Like, it's the memories you guys go to is so beautiful to look at. Now, I'd be remiss, because I'm from Minneapolis and you and I have both done shows at the Guthrie.
Yes!
What do you remember do you have any good memories from that time?
I have nothing but good memories from that time. I loved working at the Guthrie. It was a great, great honor. I mean, also, I remember I had just gotten off of a soap opera. I'd been on As the World Turns for 3 years, and my first job out of As the World Turns was playing Ophelia in Hamlet at the Guthrie Theater with Garland Wright directing, and I could not have been happier. I couldn't believe I got the job. Željko Ivanek was our Hamlet. The theater was absolutely beautiful. I loved Minneapolis. I remember I got there in July when it was like 107 degrees, and I left in November when there was 2 feet of snow on the ground. So I experienced all of the Minneapolis seasons. But I loved it. I love the audiences. I love the community. I think Minneapolis is a wonderful place to live, and I'm impressed by everybody's true interest in the arts there.
Julianne, I got the rap signal, unfortunately. It's been such a treat talking to you. I saw you on Broadway in the Vertical Hour, and you signed my playbill. So thank you so much for taking time for that as well, because it's great. So,
so nice to talk to you, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks. Too. I appreciate it. Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Joan, it is a thrill talking to you today. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. You are fantastic in LISEY'S. I've watched 4 episodes so far, and it's a really great ride.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just looking at all those CDs you have behind you, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it's a very real collection behind me. It's not just like a backdrop. Yeah. Yeah. Now, Stephen King is my favorite author, and this is your second adaptation after A Good Marriage. What is it about his writing that keeps you going back to it?
Well, it's so alive and it's so surprising. And and in Lisi in particular, he kind of like all these different tools out of his tool bag. There's a fantasy element and a suspense element and a mystery and a horror element and a very deep personal family, that you care deeply about. And so that he has synthesized all of these into this story makes it just kind of blew my mind, actually.
I know that he was on set. What did you take away from either working with him directly in those in those conversations?
I just was like, are, are you smiling? Are you happy? Do you like what you see? He talked to me a couple times. He pulled me aside because my character is based on one of his real sister-in-laws. Or was inspired by her. I wouldn't necessarily say completely based, but inspired by certain aspects of her. And so he would be a little bit like my sister-in-law would do, this one thing. And so it was really kind of exciting to have that extra personal sort of little connection to what we were doing.
Did you do any other research in terms of trying to study the mindset of this kind of mental illness to your character and how you would kind of physicalize all of that?
I did, Paul. I read about the condition. The character suffers at times from episodes of self harm and catatonia, and so I didn't really know that much about catatonia, and so I read about it, and I was able to find some footage on YouTube of people who are in true catatonic states, and I watched that footage to look for, you know, facial expressions, looks in the eye, physical, clues. And so I used that, and there was one in particular that I relied on a fair amount to help me with the physical part. And then Pablo Lorraine, our wonderful director, was a great guide.
He's like what he does with the show is so stunning, both in the visuals and all of your
Yeah.
performances are so rich. And to watch you and Julianne and Jennifer just working together is a real treat, I will tell you. Now, you have to sit in this heavy place playing this character. Are you the kind of actor that can just snap out of it when they say cut, or do you have to kind of come down from that at the end of the day?
I'm 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 pretty good at snapping out of it um, relatively quickly. I'm trying to remember what scene I had a particularly challenging, really out there emotional scene one day, and I do remember getting into my van that night pre-COVID when we could just drive with the driver right next to us. It took about 20-25 minutes to get back to my hotel, and I was like, I'm exhausted. That was a lot. But I'm pretty good at being able to not hold on to it too much.
Well, Joan, I got the rap signal. It's been a real treat. The Ice Storm is one of my favorite movies, and I feel like not enough people talk about it, but it's such a great movie, and you were so good in it.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you. I love
You're
that
welcome.
film too.
Oh God, and God, genius. Cool. Well, thank you, John. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
TP,
Take care.
Minneapolis, St. Paul. Dane, it's really great talking today. You are fantastic in Lacey's stories. The stillness that you bring to the character is just so effective. So congratulations.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, was it a no-brainer to kind of seek out playing a villain in a Stephen King story, or was there additional pressure there?
Um, well, I mean, this particular one, it was a no-brainer. I had an amazing conversation with the director, and he talked about what he was doing. And at that point, Julianne Moore was already going to do it, and Joan Allen was going to do it, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Stephen King wrote the scripts. So it was just like this amazing opportunity to be a part of something that, seemed like it had a chance to be something really special.
It is, trust me. Now, well, I heard that Stephen was on set. Did you get to talk to him a lot about maybe some of his stalkers or fans to kind of give you what that mindset must be like?
No, we didn't really get into that much. We certainly, there were conversations about my character and how we were gonna bring it to life, and we did change things a lot, and he was writing things as we went along to kind of, fulfill his vision and the director's vision, and It was a real cool collaboration, but we never really got into like his personal life or anything.
Now, I mean, it sounds like you still had that kind of pinch me moment of like working and doing these big scenes with Julianne Moore. Does does it still kind of take your breath away when that happens? And like, do you have to amp up your game because she's just so phenomenal?
Well, I mean, she is so phenomenal. Obviously, her work speaks for itself, but she also, I think went out of her way to make me comfortable, to truly be like a very caring person. And she was a pleasure to be with on set. And I think because we go through such crazy, intense stuff in the show sometimes, the two of us, the comfort that she brought outside of the set made it easier to go there. And you're only as good as the company you keep. So the fact that I got to work with her, it's like, I know I'm in good hands. In some ways, it relieves the pressure because you know that you're going to be across acting with a person that's just amazing.
Now, it's a heavy mindset for you to have to sit in for this character. Are you that kind of actor that can snap out of it right away, or what did you do to kind of like come down from that high?
It's a very project to project thing, but I think creating this character specifically was something that happened so much on set and in the moment and with the conversations I was having with Steven and Pablo. And so in a way it was contained to the set itself because when I was there, it was truly like an exploration of the character. It didn't seem like we were just like doing what was written and bringing that to life. And so I would show up on set, and that was kind of Dooley's world. And we also shot in New York where I live. So when I came home to, a wife and my daughter, and it was pretty easy to kind of like get slapped in the face with the reality of what my life really is, which is very different from Dooley's. So it was this one, especially, actually, it wouldn't seem like it, but it was easy to separate my personal life and my, and Dooley's life.
Right. Well, Dane, it is great talking to you today. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Ron, it is really great talking to you today. I'm really enjoying Lisey's story so far. I've seen the first 4 episodes, and it's really fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Paul. I appreciate it, man. Is that your personal library in back of you?
Yes. Yeah. It's our personal movie collection. I got some of Julianne's movies, of course, and some Joan's. Yeah.
Incredible, man. Incredible. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Oh,
You're
Ron,
welcome.
thank you. Now, were you a big Stephen King fan going into this? He's my favorite author. And if so, what is it about his writing that attracts you to his material?
Mystery, psychological quagmire of thoughts and ideas, fear, apprehension. And yes, I became a fan of Stephen King's. I wasn't a big reader of his work, but I did discover him through the films like Pet Sematary and then eventually It, and took me into that whole world. And so being a part of this project in any way with the caliber of cast and crew and director Pablo, it was a no-brainer, as you might imagine.
Now, I heard that he was on set. What did you take away from your conversations with him regarding your character or just the world that this show takes place in?
Well, unfortunately, Paul, I didn't get an opportunity to work directly with Stephen. My character wasn't that woven as well as Julianne's or Clive or even Dane DeHaan. But I will say that being that he was so close to the writing of every episode and also understanding and studying the way he writes, you could feel like he was in the room, even though he wasn't. So I think you might know that as a Stephen King fan. When you start to read his work and he takes you to a place, you can almost feel his presence in the story,
Oh, completely. You can feel him. You can just feel like the emotional gut punch that so many of his works, and I've felt that so far in Lisey's story too. So
and that's the connection that I had. I didn't have a physical connection, but certainly, and especially in this particular case, because he was directly related to the writing of every episode. So he was there, and so I could definitely feel his presence without a doubt, Paul.
Oh, that's great, Ron. Now, Dane's character is very much kind of a deranged fan, if you will, but kind of going in the opposite direction. Stephen King and, your show, This Is Us, have very passionate fans. Does that affect you all as an actor? And what are some of the positive things that you've heard from fans?
Well, sometimes as an actor, it's really about hearing that the work is resonating, at least for me. You work so hard at that. I do. I only speak for myself. So, and when you get a chance to work with the caliber of writing and the caliber of actors and the caliber of cast and crew, that's where you want to be, right? You want to be at the top. You want to work with the best of the best. And so moving from different projects like that is what actors and craftsmen look for, and so to go from Dan Fogelman to Stephen King, I mean, I'm feeling humbled and blessed at the moment. And the other project that I've been working on as well with Apple TV, with Truth Be Told and Octavia Spencer. So, yeah, it's wonderful, man.
Well, I got the rap signal, Ryan. It's been great talking to you. Congratulations to you on your Emmy and Jasmine's Emmy, and having both of you win together is fantastic. So congrats.
God bless you, Paul. Thank you very much, brother.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks, Ron. Minneapolis, St. Paul. JJ, it is really great talking to you today. I've really enjoyed Lisey's story so far. I've watched the 4 episodes that they gave us, and it's a really interesting ride.
Yeah, it's a wild one, and I'm glad you're liking it.
Yeah, no, Stephen King is my favorite author, so I always I love going into all of his works. I know you're a huge fan. So what goes into making a really good Stephen King adaptation? Because those, they run the gamut with the film and TV of his works.
I think that the thing that we benefited from enormously on LISEY'S story is that Stephen actually adapted his novel himself. So he wrote all the scripts for the series, which is a big deal. Not to say that there haven't been wonderful, beautiful adaptations of his stuff, but to have him do it himself, I think, makes all the difference.
Now, you've taken on Star Wars and Star Trek, and knowing that even Stephen King fans have this massive passion for his work, how do you deal with fan expectations, and does that drive your creative process at all?
Well, I think that because, Stephen was all in on this project, it was really taking his lead the whole time, which is to say, while we had an amazing director in Pablo Larraín, Stephen really was clear what meant most to him, in adapting this work. And so I think that fans of Stephen King, and this story is about that as well, of course. Each one is, going to have, their own opinions about things. It's not like there's a general, consensus. And I think that what you'll find is that this is, the Stephen Kingiest adaptation because he did it himself.
Right. Now, you made 11/22/63 with him 5 years ago now. How do you think that the streaming landscape has changed since then? And were there any noticeable changes as part of your creative process in bringing this to life?
Well, working with Apple was wonderful. I'm a big fan of the company and the people over there. And so we had a great collaboration. And I think that obviously streaming has gone from a curiosity and then a sort of a proof of concept into a juggernaut. And I feel like the beauty of this project is it really pushes the edge. I mean, LISEY'S story is a really disturbing and also really romantic and really beautiful and big-hearted and also unsettling, kind of thing. And it needed to push boundaries, and Apple let us do all of that. And so I'm incredibly grateful to Apple TV for that.
Now, do you think that people should watch this one at a time, kind of appointment viewing as episodes are released, or should they kind of wait and do the binge of 3 or 4 at a time?
I do think that this is one of those stories that draw you in, and so my feeling is that it would be a bit of a potato chip thing, for me, that it would be very hard for someone to take the bag away. Having said that, I just, I also know that if there's one potato chip offered to you, it's hard to say no. So I would say whatever's available, at your leisure. But I think it's LISEY'S story is a pretty compelling one.
Now, are there other Stephen King stories that you'd like to be a part of, even if adaptations have already been done? You like that world, you like those characters, and you wouldn't mind tackling that?
There are some stories that I feel would be wonderful to be seen, but are definitely challenging. The Talisman comes to mind. There are short stories he's written that I love that I would love to see. And there's something else that we're in the works on that I'm really excited about that I can't wait to talk about when the time is right. But I will say that there are definitely some things coming that I think will be worth people's time.
Awesome. Well, this is fantastic. Thank you so much, JJ, for the time today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I think
Cheers.
people really love this. So thank you. Take care.
Oh, it's really nice of you. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.